Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a reading for Aries moon, or if you have significant Aries placements in your chart and are needing a feminine energy to work with within yourself, then this reading is for you. Okay, Aries, let's get started. The overall context for your reading, we have here the resin card and the high priestess. So this resin card was coming through this energy of looking back on the past, as I always talk about during Mercury retrograde, but it's coming through with this energy of, like, with the resin, it talks about like perhaps something like a treasured memory or something like that. It's coming through with a bit of nostalgia as well, like looking back on the past with a lot of nostalgia, perhaps for something that was lost, was what was coming through with this energy. The line from the book that was sticking out to me was a return to what has been lost. And I feel like, so that's really significant because I feel like you're looking back on this past energy with a lot of clarity and transparency and sort of like understanding of perhaps something that happened there that is wanting to be gained or reclaimed, because I feel like there's something really significant about whatever is in the resin, right? Like that is perhaps like an answer to your problems or something like that. It's kind of like it's this experience of going back for something and then integrating it and bringing it back so that you can go forward, right? It's like it's coming through with this kind of energy. So I'll leave that there for the overall context. There's just a lot of energy coming through your reading today. So let's get started. There's kind of like this energy of like a boomerang as well, right? Like something coming back, something that perhaps you let go here with the resin, right? I feel like it's something that perhaps you had to let go. It's kind of coming through as being like a missed or a lost opportunity, or a missed or a lost beginning, right? Like something that was supposed to start, but it didn't. And it feels like there was a loss there. But it's like perhaps looking back at that, because I feel like you're going to be moving forward. I feel like there's something that's coming back. So it could be that anyways, we'll get through it. We'll get through the reading. We'll get through it. I don't know if that was something for you to, you're gonna get through it, Aries. Here with the 10 card coming out, this is the first card in your reading today, which is talking about a Jupiter energy. So right now Jupiter is also in retrograde, I believe, but it is going direct soon in January at some point, so that might be a significant shifting point for you to keep in mind. But this card talks about there was an expansion, I feel like, from your past, right? Like a new opportunity, I'm just going to call it like that you wanted to go towards, but I feel like it perhaps fell through, or like it didn't work out, and you had to almost like take a step back from it because there, like, something about that situation where it was like it wasn't, there wasn't enough resources, let's say, either energetically or like physically or whatever, to support this new expansion, whatever that was for you. And the cards that are coming out to support that or to clarify are the Six of Wands, the Six of Swords, and then the Fox, right? So you have two sixes here, which is kind of coming through as this, like, both of these cards come through with a very similar energy of being like having to get out of a situation, right? Like having to move on or move past a situation. But in that process, there's this kind of like energy of losing out on something, right? It feels like this is, again, from the past, where it's like you missed out on something or you lost something because the situation, I feel like, wasn't, either maybe you weren't ready for it, or maybe you felt like you weren't ready for it, or the situation wasn't ready for you. Could be a combination of those things, because I'm kind of seeing this as being like with the fox, this talks to me about like adaptability and having to sort of like perhaps maneuver your way out of a tricky situation, because the Tin card also talks about like having a lot of pressure and it causes a breaking point, right? So I feel like maybe there was a situation or an opportunity that didn't go through because there was so much pressure or so much whatever burden, if you want to call it that, or so, it doesn't have to be that exactly, but it's like it reached a breaking point. That's what this is coming through as, right? And so you had to get out of there is basically how it's feeling to me, Aries. So that's from the past, and I feel like through this journey, right, it's kind of like bringing me back to the past in order for forward momentum. There is this sort of like pivoting happening in the cards as well, which is really interesting to me. Anyways, the next card out you have here is the Androgen. So it's bringing in this energy of like Venus and Mercury today, which is kind of like a balanced union of masculine and feminine energy, specifically with the planets like Venus and Mercury, right? So that's talking to me about communication and messages and like journeys in general for Mercury. And also for Venus, it talks to me about like creation and pleasure and more emotional energies of like, so it talks about creation as well. But today, because of the cards that are coming out, it's just talking to me about like being really fluid or letting go of labels that you might place upon yourself, right? Like being more of in this like quote unquote non-binary state, or more of a fluid state where it's like you're detaching from labels and not placing any sort of judgment on what it is that you're being asked to do or what it is that you're creating, because there's some form of like something really magical that happens when you sort of let go of all of the labels, is kind of how it's coming through here. And I feel like in this process, right, like you went in really deep into your own perhaps consciousness. Because of these two cards coming out, you have the Earth's Heart and Sap of the Moon Plant, which is kind of coming through with this energy of like the Earth's Heart I'm seeing as a very masculine energy, and the Moon Plant as being feminine, unconscious, subconscious kind of energies. Both of those working together though, right? Like, and both of them are talking about like depth and buried treasure. And the buried treasure, I feel like, was within yourself, right? With the Sap of the Moon Plant. So if you're not at this stage yet, I feel like you will be reaching that point soon. Because this card talks about like, in order to find the answer to a problem that you're looking for, it talks about like going inward, right? That's basically what this card talks about. But so the cards that are coming out to support this combination, you have the Mother of Cups and the Father of Wands, which is all of this sort of balance of feminine energies with the Mother and the cups, the water, and the masculine energies, which is the Father and the Wands, right? So I feel like this is two aspects of yourself, Aries, which is kind of bringing in this energy, like with the Mother of Cups. I always see this as like emotional healing, this card especially. And the Father of Wands today is coming through as being like a very like forward momentum, almost aggressive, which is kind of interesting. Aggressive forward momentum versus like this sort of softer emotional healing, right? But it's kind of like, I feel like part of the process for you was like, because how I was seeing these two cards, the metaphor that was coming through was like, you think of like a pop can, right? With this tin, if you put a lot of pressure on it, it sort of like contracts or implodes, or it like goes inward. And then I'm seeing this Father of Wands as being almost like an outward or explosive kind of energy, right? But not necessarily in an angry way, but it's kind of like there's something here that wants to bloom is what's coming through here. So it's kind of like there's this inward sort of contraction energy in order to like heal something, which then causes sort of like this outward expansive energy, which is so fascinating to me. So this is sort of like the journey that you've been on, is kind of how it's feeling, of going into the past. And then this is the pivot point. What I'm seeing here is being described as the Mother of Swords and the Owl, which, again, I'm using a combination of decks here. They're made by the same creator, but they're from different decks. And so how I'm seeing this is kind of like, these are the two aspects of self that are coming together and being balanced here, because it's kind of looking to me like the Mother of Swords to me is an energy where it's kind of like very sharp, very intellectual, like has a lot of good counsel and all of that. But from this deck, especially if it's like a Queen of Swords in reverse, can sort of talk about like being really distant, holding yourself apart, perhaps being isolated, that it's that kind of vibe, versus this owl, which is, it's a much softer expression, is how I'm seeing this, right? And so this is sort of like, I feel like the androgen talks about like releasing any sort of judgment that you would place upon, or like the two binary energies, right? Like it's not a this or that, it's a this and that. That's sort of the energy that's coming through here. And just to support that, because I feel like this is the pivot point, right? This is sort of like the thing that you were needing to find in the resin in order to bring back and integrate into self. And so I got a new deck for Christmas, and I pulled a couple cards from it just to use as like an overall energy. And so the cards that came out here, this one says the Poet, relationships and vulnerability. And then the other card is the Spymaster, which says knowledge and distrust. And so I'm seeing this as being like the two binary elements, right? The Poet, which in the book it's described as like this sort of charming individual in the like the life of the party kind of energy, very, very charming, very expressive, and like draws a crowd basically with the Poet. Because of their vulnerability, right? So has a lot of strong relationships because they're vulnerable. That's how I'm seeing this owl card, versus the Spymaster, which says knowledge and distrust. So very knowledgeable, right? It kind of, with the Spymaster, it's kind of feeling like can see things that other people can't see, or like is sort of like a secret keeper kind of energy. But because of that, has a lot of distrust for people. It's because they can see sort of like all the flaws that people have, all of the darkness, all of the stuff that's hidden, right? That kind of energy. And so this is the pivot point, right? Or like the shifting of the energy, where it's like bringing these two aspects or identities of self together, the Poet and the Spymaster, where it's like being vulnerable, but also having sort of like a healthy distance maybe, or healthy understanding or knowledge about don't know how to phrase that. It's kind of just like, it's like not being naive, right? Because this poet energy can be very naive, of like just trusting everybody and that kind of thing, where it's kind of like this is the energy that needs to come into balance, is kind of how I'm seeing this. So Aries, there's a lot of significant energies coming through here. The last Citadel card that I pulled for you was this Astronomer, which says Discovery and Augury, which I feel like is looking to me like this is the thing that's coming back around. It's feeling like the missed opportunity that's coming back around, perhaps in alignment with sort of like Jupiter going direct, and also Pluto is shifting as well in January, so that might be a significant time frame for you. But I'm seeing this, especially with the Spymaster card, there's like this key here, so this is looking to me like a keyhole, right? Like the opening, like the missed opportunity that is now being opened because you've balanced these two aspects of self, is how I'm seeing this. And the cards to sort of support this, what's coming out next, you have the Scorpio. So Scorpio might be a significant sign for you or energy for you in this time. But the Scorpion and the Otter. So I'm seeing this Otter as being like the opportunity that is desired, right? Whatever it is that you're working towards, or the thing that you missed out on, or whatever it is for you. Because I always see this card as like something that you desire, but it's at a distance. You're looking at it through a telescope. And I feel like here, why it's coming out the Scorpion energy, because this card talks to me about like being triggered by something, or like experiencing discomfort around something painful, because I feel like whatever it was that this missed opportunity was, there was pain associated with it, right? You had to go through some sort of healing energy when you lost this thing or this opportunity or whatever it was. And so the idea of it coming back around might be sort of uncomfortable, because it's perhaps reactivating all of that pain again, right? Like all of that, whatever, the uncomfortable, unpleasant energies of the feeling of losing that thing or losing that opportunity. So it's activating that again, perhaps in order to, well, because it's also coming through this energy, especially with the Scorpio, of like maybe you are purposely keeping yourself distant from this new opportunity because it's activating all of this uncomfortable energy. And so it's kind of like this feeling of you would rather be distant than to go through that pain again, is kind of how it's coming through, which is a totally valid and normal response to have in response to any sort of like painful experience. It's like holding yourself back or being distant from something that you want because of the fear of losing it, is kind of how that's feeling to me. So Aries, that's something that perhaps needs to be worked through a little bit. It's like, like perhaps just dealing with the discomfort of like accepting the possibility of loss, is kind of how that's feeling, right? I feel like you've already gone through that though, on some level. I feel like this is something that you let go of, right? Like you released it, and went through all of the healing that is required when letting something go, and now it's coming back, and so it's kind of like activating like, well, what if I lose it again? What if this fails again? What if whatever? Then I have to go through all that healing process again. And yeah, that's part of the deal, I think. Anyways, you have here the Crow coming out next, and the Six of Pentacles, which is so fascinating because the way the cards are coming out, like these are the cards that we started with, the six, and then another 6 card. So to me, all of the 6 energy talks about like soul. So soulmates, yes, but also things that are meant for your soul. This is how I'm seeing this opportunity. Something that's meant for you. And with it ending with the 6 of Pentacles, this talks about a give and take, right? So I feel like maybe the opportunity perhaps was a breaking point because there wasn't an equal exchange, or there wasn't enough resources on some level. Either if it was a partnership, it's like there there wasn't an equal give and take perhaps, but it's like now you have that, like the new opportunities coming back around because this equilibrium has been reached is kind of how it's feeling. There's an equal exchange. That's the definition of equilibrium, especially in chemistry. It's like an equal exchange. It's constantly moving, but it's stable. That's what an equilibrium represents. And with the crow here, it's kind of feeling to me like this energy of like the balanced spymaster and poet. You have all of this knowledge and wisdom, but you also have this sort of like this like secret sauce, or like this like I feel like it's talking about, because you also had the dolphin here that came out. I think I forgot to mention this, where it's kind of like this energy of like creational joy that is coming through as being like this poetic, romantic even kind of energy of like creating a space around you that's full of life with the crow, but still sort of maintaining or having all of your gifts at your disposal is how I'm seeing this, right? In order to give to a situation perhaps that you weren't ready for in the past, or the situation was not ready for you, Aries. I don't know which one it is. It could be a combination of both, but it's a really lovely energy. So it's like something's coming back around. I feel like you've been feeling this energy for a while, especially if you've been in this state with the Scorpio energy, and it's like perhaps just coming to terms with the fact that some things are just more special because there's a potential to lose it, right? That like the feeling of like not wanting to lose something is what should make you treasure that thing more, if that makes sense. So I'm going to leave it there, Aries. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. It helps so much. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.